Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks. We're a podcast that talks about pop culture things that interest us, and sometimes there's whiskey. I'm feeling really weird tonight because I don't have my co-host Andrea with me. It's an odd moment, but we're gonna have a fun episode nonetheless. Um, my name is John, and I'm joined by Pete, returning guest. Pete, how's it going?
Pretty good, John. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely, and
Excited to be here.
also returning guest Mike.
Hey,
So, a little bit different episode tonight. We are focusing on John Wick in particular. We'll cover the series, but we'll also get very spoilery about the fourth and latest entry in the franchise. So that's what you're in store for tonight. It's if you haven't seen the all the John Wick movies, be prepared for spoilers. That's your warning there. And then we'll also talk about like how the John Wick movies kind of stack up against other action heroes and action franchises, and what its place is and will be in the history of those kinds of films. So before we get right into that, we got to talk about our drinks a little bit. We'll go over the holidays. We'll wait for Andrea's hopefully soon return. Everybody, if you haven't been paying attention to um, the other streams I've been doing, Andrea just has her second child, and she's getting all adjusted with that. Yes, congratulations to her. So yeah, hopefully she'll be back soon. But in the meantime, we are gonna have to deal with this sausage fest. So um, MJ
shoot the
Honeybee
film.
is in. Yeah. MJ Honeybee's in the chat. Thank you for jumping in. I've been streaming with her a little bit, and otherwise, she's a good friend on Twitch playing Dead by Daylight. So everybody check her out. And yeah, as I was saying, drinks. So we'll start. Pete, what are you drinking? I know you have to have fun drink vessels, if nothing else.
Yeah, the vessel, not as much fun today. I am drinking the Teeling Irish whiskey. This was a Christmas gift from my brother-in-law, who is from Dublin. But
Oh,
it's just got to have the tumbler, but I have the rocks
oh yeah,
glass or the
Stones.
soap stones, whiskey stones, with a little Teeling. So,
Whoa.
That's awesome.
I don't think. I mean, should I have heard of that
are you
make?
Irish?
No.
Then
Uh,
probably not.
okay, okay. I have a. I'm not drinking it, but I have an Irish whiskey sitting here too.
Hello,
I
what do we
just
got?
tried this the other week. It's called Silky, and
Yeah.
it's really good. I enjoy it quite a bit. We didn't have, yeah, St. Patrick's Day, and I feel like we were lacking on good Irish whiskey. So, do you keep? I don't really know, Pete. Do you keep a pretty stacked bar cart? Or do you
No,
just?
no, I'm not like you. Well, I don't. I know how you used to roll. That was an impressive setup that you had. But I've got some favorites high up on the shelf, away from small children. So
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's a concern for us soon too. Like, well, not soon, but at some point here.
I was
Um,
gonna say that'd be impressive there, John. Soon, huh?
yeah, yeah. All
Like a
right, that's
natural
awesome.
instinct.
Right. Yeah, they just go for the bottle of of other kinds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, what are you drinking?
So I decided to go back to college years, and somehow I ended up with a bottle of rum
Oh
chata.
my.
Uh
Okay.
huh.
I
Because
thought he was going to bust out like a. Do you have like an MGD sidecar or Bush
no,
Light Draft?
that's not how I roll. So a
All right.
couple of weekends ago, let's just say I was on a time crunch for various reasons. So I just kind of ran down the aisle and I grabbed the first thing that looked interesting, and it was the white rum chata bottle. Ended up throwing Coke into it with a glass of ice, and it like foams up. It does this weird foaming
Sure.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It sort of
Pearls.
tastes like a root beer float in a small
Okay.
way. And so I started playing with that, getting the different mixtures right, and I got something, a little concoction that I think I like. So,
Excellent.
Awesome. Cool. Want to try something unique. Gonna come up with a way it relates to the show. Give it a name. I've done that
yeah,
before.
Yes.
Pete, you've worked with us to come up with cocktail names.
Hmm, we could call it the fucking pencil. Work in progress.
Oh, yes. This is
Nice.
great. We're
Perfect. Cool. All right. Well,
Just
good
for
job,
starters.
everyone.
bringing the brains
I
and the
have,
sex appeal. This is too much.
And the cologne.
yeah,
Oh, man.
yeah,
Party of
and
one.
wearing our merch even.
Yeah,
Great.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get just anyone. Don't get it. It's friends and family and
Yeah.
VIPs.
Yeah. No, I pretty much kept it to guests of the podcast get shirts. So
It goes great with
um,
my slee stack, hunting wear, my hunter's flannel.
yeah, I'm not.
For all you Land of the Lost survivalists out there, you know who you are.
Mhm.
Represent.
I actually enjoyed that more recent-ish movie with Will Ferrell. I mean, me not having come from watching it when I was younger, um, I enjoyed that movie. So
Yeah.
It was a bastardization, but anyway.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. So I'm drinking. So I've been
Right.
wanting
The
some.
1974 edition, Alan. Yes.
I've been wanting some sojo recently, and or soju, sorry. And I found some actually in
Oh,
our
wow.
local store. It was just listed as vodka, but I don't know of any vodka that is 12.5%. So it's just the way they kind of advertise it here, I guess.
Hmm.
But this is a Good Day lychee soju,
Oh,
and yeah,
like a
I'm
lychee
excited to try it.
martini and a
Kind of, but
bottle.
like soju is like a Korean spirit made from like rice or potatoes, I think like that. Rice or just like vodka would be, but it's more like wine strength.
Okay.
So instead
Interesting.
of being 40% or something like that, again, this is 12.5%. So
I don't know. You say
usually
lychee and martini, and I start getting nostalgic.
yeah.
That's when I
Yeah,
lived
no.
in Hawaii. There was a called Indigo, and they had martini specials, and their famous concoctions was a lychee martini.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is really
I should
good.
do that.
It's dangerous.
What the hell?
Yeah. Mix one up. Not now, but next time.
Yeah, I'll just pick I'll get my rambutan and my lychee out of the garden.
Yeah. All right. Drinks in hand, ready to go. We all saw John Wick 4. I assume you've all seen the previous John Wick films.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
We'll start with Mike this time. John Wick, did you kind of watch them all as they came out? Did you
Yeah.
love all of them, or
Well, I'll be honest. My love for them has petered. It's trickling off. The first one, I think, goes down in history. There's just something about that the concept of like we don't need a story. This is just going to be stunt porn, you know. And just it was combat that seemed grounded. It was ridiculous. It was incredible, but it still, for some reason, to my untrained eye, seemed realistic. I
It
don't
was
even know if
practical.
anybody's. Yeah, yeah, it was. Um, even the way that he used cover, like, was something that you just don't see all that often in movies. Maybe in Taken, the first Taken, was another place where you saw this one guy moving tactically through a room, and it was more believable. And that has just taken a dive as they've tried to increase the stakes. And now he's running around holding up his suit like it's
Completely
like it's a
believable.
shield. Yeah. Well, there, Kyle Hill did a video on it on whether or not it would be a realistic tactic to pull that off. So
Oh no.
oh, we lost your audio, Mike. Not good. All right, well, we'll skip to Pete for right now. See if that comes
Yep,
back.
there it goes.
Oh, there it comes back. All right.
In and out.
Yeah, so I definitely hear that. Pete, do you share similar thoughts, or how'd you
Well,
come into the franchise? And
I came into the franchise with a chip on my shoulder. It's like, oh, Keanu Reeves in an action movie. This is going to be just hot garbage. And I don't know what happened. It was on cable, and just started watching it and couldn't turn it off. And it might have been one and two, and I liked one so much. It might have been like, and now we're gonna just slide into number two. So I did a movie marathon. So it might have been like on a like a HBO or something,
right,
and for like the month. And I just found myself over consecutive weekends watching John Wick one and two back to back and just being mesmerized. Like there's not a lot of dialogue, but the dialogue he does say, hits home. Um, like Mike said, simple story, suspend your disbelief, and just what they lack in character development is made up for. Like every fight tells a story. For John Wick 4, it was 3 hours long. As I understand it now, they're originally going to break it into two movies, but instead of doing like two-hour movies or hour and a half movies, they said let's just make a really good number four. So we'll see what happens in the future. They're supposed to be spin-offs and
Oh,
TV
sure wish they would
shows,
have
yeah,
made a good one.
prequels. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But just at the end of four, I almost had combat fatigue, and I'm like, really? We're gonna have another damn shootout? And it was awesome. Just how did they do it again? Like, it was so entertaining. Like, it was exciting to watch. It had its funny moments. Like, I don't know how you can make like slaughter and gore comedic, but the movie has a gift. It is very talented in that regard. So love the first one, love the second one. The third one I saw on an airplane, and I had my headphones on, and I had the volume turned up so loud. My wife was sitting next to me, and she could hear the movie. And I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" So I was hoping for a flight delay. Like, "Oh no, are we going to miss the end of the movie?" But it worked out. So
That's got to be a
hoping
first
for
in
flight
history.
delay. Oh man,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
huh?
I
Okay,
don't know,
And
man.
she bought me the movie on Blu-ray, and so it's there in case I need it.
yeah,
Four's lost the magic. It's still an
Did it?
entertaining movie. It's still an entertaining movie. I'm not out here giving it a 3 out of 10, anything like that. I still like the movie. I still enjoy it. But it's lost what made John Wick John Wick. It's lost what separated it, I think.
Do you think it's because there's repetition? It's kind of lost its maybe originality, or do you just have combat fatigue?
It's not combat fatigue. If all of the combat was as good as the first one and the second
Mm,
one, I'd be okay with it. But it feels cheaper now. Um,
mm,
when it to me it happened. It started in the third one. I think it was the third one when he was going through the catacombs. And suddenly he has no cover. That's two.
okay. Yeah.
Is that two? Okay. So it started in two. Suddenly he's in a place where he has no cover. He's still got to come against these insurmountable odds. And that's where they leaned into the bulletproof suit kind of thing. And that was the way that he was going to get out of the situation where there was no cover. And it's like they've leaned into that concept more and more as the films have gone on,
Hmm.
where he can just run through an area like this, and that takes away what made John Wick cool to me, because what
In
made
the
John
first
Wick
one.
cool is, yeah, there's no wasted movement. Everything, e- even the way that he throws a guy is throwing a person in order to, you know, get to the next guy or get into cover so that he can set up for the next one. And that's where I just think they've gone off the deep end. There's cool things, but whether or not it's a John Wick cool thing is what I'm not sure of.
Yeah.
It was
I
nice in the
Go ahead.
fourth one where they said, "Oh, he's not the only one who can wear the expensive bulletproof Armani suit." So it was
Yeah.
nice that the playing field was leveled. And then how do you overcome that obstacle?
Shoot
Mhm.
more.
And I did like that in the what it was it the third one, and we were introduced to, like, body armor they had to deal with, so it's, like, multiple shots and had
Yes.
needed or, like, get up close and underneath the helmet and that
Hmm.
They
kinda
had to
thing.
get the special
That is
armor
cool.
piercing rounds. That was
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
So I like those elements. I do think that 3 for me for sure was the starting to go, um to superhero. Whereas obviously John Wick is basically a superhero even from the beginning, you know, his incredible feats. But it starts like they get Halle Berry in there and she's got her dog tricks. That's fine. You know,
It's
it's okay.
amazing. You
But then
like show
they
me something I've
replicate it
never
in this
seen
one.
before.
That's
Canine
true.
Kung Fu?
And
Awesome.
then I the telltale sign for me that I really was trying to ignore was the fall of John Wick at the end of 3 because he gets shot
Mhm.
off the like this multiple story building
Yeah,
and like
top of the
basically
Continental.
pachinko machine down and then gets up and walks away. And I just thought, why do we have to do that? You know, and so I was kind of hoping they would that was one thing, it was an incredible thing. I remember Spike in Cowboy Bebop. Was blasted out of a church and he fell way many stories, but he was at least like completely bandaged and laid up for a long time. He didn't walk away. He had to like be lifted out of there, and then he
John didn't
was
walk
out of
away in
commission for a
3.
while.
He didn't walk away at the end of 3. He was, gathered up by, people and taken to the Bowery King.
Lawrence
And s
Fishburne came and got him or
Yep.
something.
So you saw at the beginning of 4, spoiler alert, he lived. Uh, and then they showed him recovering, uh,
Right.
and getting back into shape.
Punching his
So,
makiwata or his board there and stuff.
it wasn't as, like you initially described, but yeah, when he's takes his suit coat off and shakes it out, and all these slugs come off of him, and then takes off his vest, and more bullets come off
Mhm.
of him. That yeah, you just
Yeah.
take it for what it is. You know, none of
I
this
like
is.
that.
It was
I like that.
hilarious. Yeah.
Exactly. They're leaning into the funny part of it,
Yep.
but I don't know. I can't get myself to find the balance of is this a funny, like, kind of lean into the comedy action kind of thing, and because it's just been done before. It was a great movie. Four's just been done before. Almost everything.
Yeah.
There were a couple times in 4 where I was like, "Yeah, they already did that stunt. They already did that stunt." I don't hate it, but we've already seen it.
Yeah.
I think they're getting way too ridiculous with like I don't want studios interfering or whatever. I never want that like saying, "Hey, you got to cut this or do whatever." But the like integrity of the director should be or his editing team should be there like we got to cut time here, guys. We can't sit here cuz their runtime is too much when you're not filling that with story, when you're filling it with stunts. It's too much. Like we could have cut out the entire the entire time in Japan, which would sadden me because I like going to Japan. But the only function of going to Japan was clearly to set up the daughter for future installments, for
Mhm.
future things. So,
Well, that was a big part of it, but you also had to introduce the big bad henchman of this movie. The
well, blanking on his name right now. Um, but why couldn't we have been introduced to him in like Germany when we were dealing with you know, we would obviously could see him make the deal with Skarsgård
right.
and take the job. He's deals with, you know, they're spying on his daughter or whatever. We figure out all that stuff. And then and then we can go to sitting at the poker table, you know, if we want to involve him more. Like, why do we have to introduce characters only to kill them? Because the time they took for that, it was a lot of cool stuff, but the time they took for that literally progressed the story in no way, other than to make the daughter now out for vengeance.
But that's not
um,
nothing.
against
That
right,
isn't
but
any
for future movies, it has nothing to do
right.
with this movie. So
I
yeah,
think this
it's
is a
just
symptom. This is a symptom of what Pete had said that there's going to be two movies. I think, John.
right.
I think that's exactly what you're saying. If this was broken out, right, you could introduce her basically at the very end of this one and then lead it into the second one. But if you try and take these two stories, these two plots, and put them together, that's where you run into
Mhm.
your problem you're describing.
Yeah, because it felt like big time final boss showdown, right? You know, samurai versus blind kung fu artist. You know,
It
like
was badass.
that's awesome, and there was so much cool stuff going on in that whole thing. But that's just the start of it. We're just getting going. You
Yeah,
know,
Donnie Yen did steal the movie.
he
That's
did. He did. Like he was the character that was compelling because
mhm.
he had something to fight for.
Mhm.
So that was
And we
another
could say
interesting
that
thing.
because this is his first appearance. This is movie number 4, and this is where I'm talking about, do we have John Wick fatigue? So we like Donnie Yen because he's compelling, because we haven't seen him in 3 other movies. If we see Donnie Yen's character in Kane in 2 more movies, by the 3rd movie, are we gonna have the same conversation? Well, he's not compelling anymore, he's not interesting, and we've already seen it, it's redundant. I think it's the, Lord of the Rings versus the Hobbit syndrome, where everybody is, like, all over Lord of the Rings, but then we get to the 2nd trilogy, it just didn't have that same captivation for a variety of reasons. One of them is it didn't have that never seen before element where we had the depth perception, amazement in the first movie. When we get to 4th movie, 5th movie, 6th movie, people over it, show me, wow me with something else. Yes, Donnie Yen is wow, but we've only seen Donnie Yen one time,
I'm not
unless
tired.
unless we count Rogue One,
Yeah,
where he
I'm
was
not tired
insane samurai.
of John Wick himself because I like
Can Donnie
Keanu's.
Yen
And I
see in real
love
life? Has anybody?
is the question. Yeah,
It Man. So It Man can see. Maybe that's just magical
I
movie
think he was
effects.
faking it.
Yep. Yep.
for sure. Yeah, I'm not tired of John Wick himself. Like I love Keanu Reeves. I love the way he portrays him. I love the work that he puts into the role. I
Absolutely.
love the way some of these things are choreographed. We had some amazing fight sequences. Fighting the big, like, thick guy with the fake teeth in the water effects in the club
I meant
was
to look
so
it up. Does
cool.
anybody know who that actor is?
No, but he was like watchable, right? He was really watchable.
I watched the
He was
Amy Joe
watchable
review.
because we were like, "Is that dude in a fat suit?" Like,
He is. He is in a fast.
the makeup is
He
so
is?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
He's a
Interesting.
martial
Yeah, I
but
artist.
didn't.
Yeah.
but was I talking to you, John? And I go, "Who is that guy? Is that like Ray Park or something like that?" Like, he's familiar, but he's not so familiar. Like, I recognize him immediately. Like, granted, he had the grill, the fake old teeth, and then the fat
Yeah.
suit.
Honestly, I was kind of like, with his character right up until he does a high kick, and I was like, "Yep, I'm in." That was awesome.
Show me something I haven't seen before. Okay, I have not seen that before.
Right. Well, and then his punches, they made his punches so visceral. Like I felt that impact. Felt like, when he was hitting John, it was different than John's gotten hit before in those movies. It just felt like it was breaking
Wow.
shit.
And then I think
Yep.
there's the clothesline and the rain,
Yep.
and so you get the body
Mhm.
flip and the droplets coming out. Like, we talk about, like, doesn't have the story, but the visuals, like, there is
Mhm.
just this
Mhm.
artistry and this savagery. It's
Mhm.
awesome.
That's
It's
what
mine.
makes me upset about this movie. I think there's a really great movie in there that could literally be exposed with the edit. You know, we just you chop out 40 minutes of this movie and it becomes a different movie. Okay, look, we're going up the staircase, right? Why did we
Love
have to
it.
go up the staircase 3 times
I don't
and
know.
Because
then
it's
be helped by
funny.
Donnie Yen?
No,
No, because at
Because
that
no.
it's
point you're like,
hilarious.
it's you're basically fighting. It's like playing a fighting game that's ill paced. when this enemies are the same enemy over and over, and you're going down the same corridor over and over, and it's a beat 'em up, and you're like, I just need to get to the mini boss or the
Yep.
boss or whatever. It's
It's
too
frustrating, right?
repetitive.
When you
And this
get
is too
sent all the way to
repetitive.
the bottom, and then he falls down the stairs like
That
Homer
might be
Simpson.
funny if the movie was a normal length.
Well, no, that scene was gonna drive me crazy no matter what. If you can do it in a video game, it's still egregious. It's still bad game design, but you can at least do it in a game design because you are interacting, because you're in control, you're playing it, so you can get past it. Watching it in the movie, I was just like, shit, again. Just had 3 minutes for about 15 minutes now. Like,
Maybe that's why I found it so funny, is because you two guys were groaning. I'm like, yeah, that's what they wanted. Go get him, John.
It's
Hey, what was
we're
awesome?
just
What
wasting
was
time.
super awesome? As John Wick is falling down the stairs, all of the bad guys are hauling their buddies off the stairs, so he has a clear path up. There's no dead bodies when he went back up.
I didn't know.
Well,
They
and
didn't respawn, or they did.
it is the
respawn.
like leaning into the comedic element because again, why do we the tumbling down the stairs and then getting up again? We've already been hit by a car several times. Again, how many times do people have to be hit by cars? Like that's a mission over kind of thing. It loses its meaning. I remember Mission Impossible 3. There did a stunt where Tom Cruise is on a bridge and someone is shooting like an RPG and he's trying to get out of there and it hits and he's running towards the camera and it blows him into the side of a car and dents the door. And then the whole screen is like it's ringing sound effect. He has to kind of get back up, try to get the gun himself. Like that's one impact. And it means something because we're like, oh shit, he just got thrown into this car from this explosion. This movie, it just is like over and over, like, okay, your leg's broken, your other leg's broken, all your ribs are broken. Like it's a big problem I have with Hollywood, where everyone is like every 110-pound woman can take down a room of 200-pound men, and then now John Wick can just like be run over by cars. He can just fall down flights of
Of course he
stairs.
can,
He can
John.
just tumble off of ledges and off of buildings when he wasn't that to begin with. He's a man.
He's supernatural.
He's
He's the
not
Baba Yaga.
supposed to be.
He has
No,
no
that's
power.
the thing. The myth
the
of the
Punisher.
Baba Yaga that
He's the
even the
boogeyman.
Punisher takes this beating and shows it. He's bloodied all over the place and
Right.
stumbling and stuff. Yet John Wick, they made him into a superhero when he was something that was more, as you said, more tactical, more practical, more believable. Now all the
this is
like
what I mean.
proper judo throws don't mean anything because why don't you just like Kamehameha wave him? Just like
This is what I'm
let's
talking
just get
about.
the energy blasts in and power
He's
up
coming.
and
He's
just
coming.
laser eyes, or
Doesn't
something.
need 'em.
Cyclops
When he runs
also.
out of bullets and pencils, laser beam eyes are coming. He's the
We
Baba
gonna
We
talk
Yaga.
went
about-
from like
are
cool
we gonna
checking
talk
the
about
chamber.
Donnie
We
Yen?
went from like proper reloads. We
Yeah.
went from like, clearing rooms. We went from like flashlight blind enemy, to like it's a joke and I am a superhero. And he puts in all
Now
this
you're going to
work to do the
complain that
authentic
it's
thing.
completely unrealistic that a guy in a three-piece suit can run down some Bedouins in the middle of the desert, right, without breaking a sweat.
No, I'm going to yell about Donnie Yen did the pencil move. John didn't. What's up, Donnie Yen? Stealing
Well,
his move.
That's right.
Yeah.
Donnie Yen is the next John Wick. It's not about the daughter. This is going to be about Donnie Yen surviving and like fighting off all the assassins to keep his daughter alive.
It'll be a team up. Could be a team up.
Yeah, I could see a team up. Some sort of thing.
This is what I mean by it's lost its way and it's just become a generic movie. It's a fun one, but it's not what was appealing about the first one at all. So, still fun.
So the man in the fat suit is Scott Adkins. Where do we know Scott Adkins from? Also known as Ray Park.
Atkins diet. The diet.
Yeah. He's a ripped, svelte individual.
it's kind of too bad they didn't get a big guy to do those, like to the face backspins because I have seen that in UFC. Is like, oh, like some big
Well,
heavyweight
you're right.
guy.
But
Um,
can they act?
so right, yeah, no, it's fine, and just it's
First John Wick movie, we wouldn't have cared if they could act. We didn't need it.
well, you see, but the first John Wick is, that's why I think that was always going to be the best one, unless they came up with something else. I thought that was going to be the deal. Why this one was reviewing so well was because the first one did have a story. I get that you're saying it's action porn, but it really, really moved, evolved into that when the initial story is, a man that has tried to leave his past behind him. He started a family life, but then his wife dies, and then some bastard comes and kills his dog, and he gets dragged back into this world. Like that's
That is
simple, but
it.
it's
Say
makes
that last sentence
sense.
again. Yeah, say the last sentence again.
Yeah, so I mean, what you've got nothing else. You've lost and the thing that your wife leaves you to help you
Mhm.
through your time of grief is taken from you by some punk ass Theon Greyjoy bitch. And yeah, that's it. You're done. You're done.
Yeah.
And so then everybody, the whole thing, it was so cool. Everyone's scared again. Oh yeah, the Baba Yaga, like the legendary figure, can take down anyone. So great, great stuff.
Baba Yaga is a witch lady who lives in a house with chicken. So
Yes.
Yes, but it's such a cool name, and the
it
way everybody
is.
speaks of it in hushed tones.
Yeah.
So
But it's a super simple concept. And they're still simple, right? It did not that movie was not successful because of the plot. And it wasn't
no,
successful because of the storytelling. It was just an excuse for the action. That's
I
all it
don't know
was.
if you like say it wasn't successful because of the storytelling. I think it had a like it depends on how you define it. Like if we say it had a splendid mix of action and comedy and just enough like emotional tug where you're like,
yeah,
if you beat me up and take my car, then it's a Charles Bronson movie called Death Wish, right? But if you kill my dog, and all of the dog lovers out there, like, I will murder you and all of your kin, and I'm coming for you. Like, there's a part of me that's like, I don't condemn the violence, I don't condone it, but I understand, right?
right.
Go get him, kick a
No,
dog, I kick
I,
you in, and it's Theon too. Oh,
yep,
whatever, you're Mister
it's the
Nobody.
worst.
Reek.
Yep. No, I agree, and I think that, but I think then by the third is really where we started to lose. We didn't know where to go with the plot. So as simple or complex or whatever as it may have been, like we started to not know where to go with it. And we started
Right,
like, okay, we have a high table. How do we deal with the high table? Because they made the threat so extreme in
right.
two. Where do we
Mhm.
go from there? Because in two,
Mhm.
around every corner, they send out a hit. Apparently, there are assassins everywhere. You can barely get from point A to point B. And to manage to make it all the way to four, your threat level was already so high. Like, what more are you going to do? Like, I almost would have rather them start being like, he had to go through kind of like what was it was that old I think it was, Bruce Lee, where he
Yep.
basically it's like a video game and you're
Yep.
battling up the
No, no, no,
tower,
no, 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 no,
you
no,
know?
no.
Well,
The
that's still
video
one.
game is based on the Bruce Lee movie.
Right.
Fact.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
what is it? The House of Death? House of Murder? Alan, which
Game
one
of
is
Death,
it?
Alan says, Game of Death.
Game of
Game
Death,
of Death.
correct.
That was
And
based
that's
off of
where
the
Bruce Lee
one.
wore the iconic yellow suit with
No.
stripes on it
Yeah.
because do we're gonna segue. Bruce Lee was teaching Kareem Abdul Jabbar martial arts, teaching him uh, and so he cast Kareem in the movie and he said, I'm going to dress up like a basketball. So there's a couple times it's like he's almost dribbling Bruce Lee. And so again, you have the martial arts blended with comedy. So, and it
Yep.
became so iconic now you see in pop culture, there's often somebody wearing the Bruce Lee yellow tracksuit with black stripes on it.
But yeah, super influential. I almost would have been interested in seeing us go, um, down some sort of route like that, where instead of just too many nameless henchmen, let's just make this. You want to deal with this? You're gonna have to battle through the high table. Like that's what an anime would do, right? You have a high
I
table,
was just gonna
and
say, John, you tried to
you
turn
know,
it into an anime, and not
I
like it's
mean,
not
right?
already an anime, but John
Yeah,
won't be
yeah.
satisfied unless oh, what was it, Afro Samurai, where you had
Afro
to
Samurai,
fight the
yeah.
yeah.
I haven't seen that, but
What?
yeah.
That's everything you love.
Samurai, Afro, and anime. Yeah.
Yep, you love anime, afros, and something else that starts with A. It'll come to me.
Okay.
Ass
Yeah.
kicking. There it is.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. No, no. Just plenty of things I think have
I think RZA
evolved
did
into
the music for
something
that. Was RZA in sorry, sorry.
for Afro Samurai.
Yeah,
Oh, yep. RZA.
because
Is that how you say it?
yeah,
I would say RZA.
yeah, because
Sounds
he's the
friendlier.
RZA.
Yeah.
Come on, John.
Okay.
You're all about the Wu-Tang.
No,
Wasn't
no.
that part of your wedding music when they introduced the bride and groom? And it said, John and Ashley ain't nothing to fuck with. John and Ashley ain't nothing. Pretty sure that's how it went.
That would have been epic, and my family would have freaked out. That would have been really something. Yeah.
All right. Well, when
Okay,
you
well, I'm
renew your
glad you liked
nuptials,
it. I'm glad you liked the
you
movie.
guys did too when we
You
came out of the theater.
No, I
Or
just
you know, wait, I take it back. You had to go, and Alan and
yeah,
I hung out to watch the
yep,
end credit scene, which was predictable.
okay, yeah, right, yep.
What do you
Yeah,
think? Well, we had enough time to like ponder. Like, what do you think it's going to be? We got 14
yeah,
minutes. 14 minutes of credits. We can figure this out. We're smart.
yep, yep. No, it really it just frustrates me because it's not the movie I was looking for anymore. And I think that I determined that this movie would be enjoyed with a group of friends. You're kind of talking over the movie, you're sharing
Hmm.
snacks and drinks. It's just going in the background, and everybody kind of quiets down for the good parts. It's like, okay, the Chucks are coming out now. Like we're gonna deal with, and so you watch this. And then we get into, okay, the car, he's dealing with a car around the Cirque de Triomphe, and we're gonna see that, all that cool stuff. And we sort of like quiet down to enjoy those moments, because like the continual shot, the overhead, like a video game, continual
Yes.
shot through the house
Mhm.
was
Very cool.
spectacular.
Yep.
That was so well done. And then having the kind of what did I say, Alan? Alan put in the chat Arc de Triomphe. What did I say? Circle. Okay, okay. Circle, it's like yeah, arc. Perfect. Um, yeah. Oh, the explosive rounds, that
Oh
was
yeah.
really cool. All of a sudden he fires one, it's like, whoa, okay. I guess my gun leveled up. That's
So
cool.
the original Star Wars trilogy had a formula where we're gonna have battles, but we got to make them all signature. So they got to have different locations. So you have one in the desert, you have outer space, you have this movie, right? Second movie, we're going to an ice planet. We're going to go to the antithesis. We're going to show some swamp. We're going to have a city in the clouds. We're going to have some space battle. Movie,
Hmm.
rainforest, uh, Dagobah for a little bit, but you have different landscapes, different vehicles, right? You still have your tried and true. You have blasters, you have your X-wings, and then John Wick. I feel is similar because we're going to new locate. Well, and James Bond, right? I think all credit due, if I'm being honest. James Bond did something similar where he has new gadgets every different cities. It's not always London, not always Paris. You know, go to the. I think he went to Japan recently. Not obviously, but pretty sure he did. Went outer space. So
Bond, I don't think I think he didn't go to Japan recently, did he? Wasn't it with
not recent.
Skyfall? Wasn't that I don't
Oh,
think it was Japan.
I'm thinking way back
Oh,
with
oh,
Sean
you only live
Connery.
twice. Yeah, you only live twice. That was
Yeah.
Japan. And he was training in yeah. So like let's talk about that a little bit. Um, what do you think, compared to other spy movies, assassin movies, action movies, and we got the Bourne movies, Mission Impossible movies,
Yeah,
Jason or James Bond movies. We got some TV shows now, even like Reacher or the movie of that Jack Ryan.
yeah.
You know, where's this place?
Are you thinking like
What's
overall or contemporary?
I guess my frame of reference is contemporary more, but like overall, what do if you got other ideas?
I think it's the best of all of the Bonds, where it seemed like Sean Connery was more tongue in cheek, a little more humor, and then starting with Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, the Bond films had a more serious, maybe I want to know if I want to say darker, maybe more realistic, less of the camp. Like Roger Moore, there was more camp. It was almost like the Adam West of Batman portrayals. So I love Roger Moore.
Oh, so you're kind of usually thinking of like breaking up. How does this compare to
Yeah,
different
and
segments
if I
of
go to if
Bond?
I go to Wick, I would
Okay.
say it's as gritty as Daniel Craig, but it still has the moments of Sean Connery's. Um, I wouldn't say it's as campy as Roger Moore, but there's just the one-liners, the moment.
I I thought maybe you meant the contemporary or not for just action movies in
like
general, whatever. But
like a
the
current
Bond franchise,
franchise.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't like. I like Bourne, so it's
Hmm.
comparable to Bourne in terms of the action, just the nonstop. I think with Wick, it's more back to that example, that Star Wars paradigm, where like each action sequence is its own entity. So the overhead shot that was only done for that one apartment building, and they added the new twist where some of the floors were missing, right? And so that was cool.
Yeah.
So we could see from the ceiling, and we could see this floor. We could also see through the floor. So he's shooting up and shooting down, and that is something I hadn't seen before. So I really enjoyed it. Um, I just think from the visuals, it doesn't have an equal. Um, what do you think of that statement?
Well, I think from the visual representation of stunt work, it doesn't have an equal. But in terms of visuals of 'em, I think that the Bond movies have gotten a lot better in terms of cinematography in the last few entries.
Yep.
Really with like there were some good shots in Quantum, but like Skyfall for sure started looking really good. Some of the neon lights when Bond is climbing into whatever place to like that looks really good. Some of the shots on the boat, they're sailing to the island, like I can just think of in the next one, some of the water scenes going in, I think it's Norway or something. So I think the cinematography in the later Bond movies really is something special, and I think that blows the Wick movies out of the water. But
Oh,
in terms of just like, because I don't think Wick is particularly like I'm not generally in wow, the, color grading of this is really something, it's just the way that they show me action is great. The way that they don't cut, the way that they, you know, keep a, steady lens on it because it's a far cry from like Jason Bourne movies where you just start getting seasick in the latter ones, where it's
yeah.
just
It's like a
shake, shake.
GoPro. It's not that
Yeah.
like it's a style, and I enjoy them. But the stunts in Bourne are fantastic. I will give them their due. But it's a different style.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. I I think that we can credit Wick with bringing some of the like care for weapons handling and appreciation for stunt work forward more. Um, but Tom Cruise kind of does that too with the stunt work. Always
There it
like
is.
his movies now with Mission Impossible have
Yep.
really each one has become about what death defying thing can I do? What new skill can I learn to put my
Yep.
life on the line for you all to entertain you?
That is extreme, and that is a different approach, and that is crazy impressive. That I can't. What other Hollywood actor is going to become a Halo jumper?
Right. Yep.
Just what? Forget it.
I think to me that's I really love that because I would want to do that if I was acting too. I would feel bad if I was playing the Mandalorian and I'm only the voice almost all the time. Someone else is in the suit doing the things. And then someone else is maybe in the suit doing the cool things,
Right.
like so it'd be the same thing if you're in some spy thing and you like want to do a motorcycle chase scene and you're like, I'm just gonna everybody's gonna think it's me because they're gonna CG my face on there
Right.
and they'll think I'm cool, but I'm not cool actually. I was just sitting on the sidelines while someone was doing the cool thing.
Yeah. Well, Tom Cruise is the exception to the rule because just
Yes.
about everybody else uses a stunt double. It's just
Mhm.
Pedro Pascal has the benefit of wearing the Mandalorian helmet, so he can just do the voiceovers and then go off and super cool stuff like The Last of Us.
Yep. Yep.
Hey,
All right.
handsome.
Mike is back. Well, our screen is shifted, but Alan will behind the scenes work his magic and reshuffle us here. Um, so
Oh,
we were just
like being
talking.
on
We
the
kind of
toes.
yeah, we kind of moved into the. Wait, did your AirPods die too?
No,
Me?
but they're connected to the computer now.
Okay, okay.
I'll fix it.
All right. I think you got. I think it sounds okay there. Um, we were
Somebody
just
pour
moving
Mike a drink.
into.
I did refill.
We were moving into talking about how Wick compares to other action franchises, where it stands, how it separates itself, and just talking about like the kind of standards now that Tom Cruise have set for things, and right how that's a such an oddity, that he's gonna set himself, his life on the line constantly for every new movie. Um, but, like Keanu Reeves, yeah, he's not jumping out of a plane, but he's still doing they say he does like
Martial arts.
95% of
Yeah.
the stunts. He learned judo to do the movie. He goes to the range and does tactical drills. Like he does like is a part of, and so I think audiences now kind of expect some of that. Daniel Craig broke himself a couple times in the Bond movies because audiences expected him to do a lot of it, and
Yeah.
so he kept getting injured, and it happens.
It it is a cool dynamic, I think. Um, you know, I go back and forth a lot of times on whether or not actors can actually like be badass. I mean, they're when you think about it, like that old joke of like I'm not a doctor, but I played one on TV. Well, these days, like when you look at the stuff that Tom Cruise does, when you look at what um, Jason Statham or Keanu Reeves here does, um, Michael B. Jordan with boxing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They are spending years training for these things. And even if
What
you're not
about
someone
Johnny's guy,
elite level,
Vigo Mortensen?
Viggo Mortensen, yeah. I mean, what more do you want out of being a badass than spending 2 years with firearms training, jujitsu, judo, right? That's it's impressive, and it's kind of cool that actors can be that. Like, I would not mess with Keanu Reeves at this point, if I got into an altercation with him, which seems impossible with who he is.
Day's not over,
Um,
Mike. You
that's
keep
true.
drinking. You keep talking
Oh
shit.
boy.
He'll show up. He's the Baba Yaga. He's going to show up.
Yeah,
You,
right. I don't
you
have
turn
a
off the
problem.
light. You say his name 3 times.
There you go. Yeah.
Fucking watch out.
Yep.
I think there was a thing, back in the day you had stunt people for a couple of reasons. One, the actors probably didn't want to take on that risk, but two, the studios don't want them taking
Yeah.
on that risk
Insurance
because that's their
companies
money
didn't
maker.
either.
Absolutely.
Right.
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 Yep.
So are they just making so much damn money now that it's
So,
worth the risk?
I think
no,
a
it's
lot of it comes
ego.
down to like Tom Cruise produces, there was a while where
Mm,
they didn't want Tom Cruise to do things and they kept him from doing things early in the Mission Impossible movies. He wanted to do them. So it's like, I'm just going to produce it myself so I
sure.
can do it. No one
Yeah.
else is my boss. And so, other than, and I think that he doing this kind of, I watched a video a while ago. Is like, does Bond have a Mission Impossible problem? Because the Mission Impossible movies are always kind of getting the media attention for these high flying, death defying, crazy stunts, and they're quite consistent. Whereas the Bond movies, maybe their thing to fall back on is, tropes of the past, or here we deal with the Spectre organization again, or add a new gadget or something. Like, does it have the thing to stand out? And I think he literally puts pressure on the rest of the industry to like, we're going to have to eat the insurance cost so we can
Hmm.
have our person do some of the things. Not all of
Hmm.
them, but more of them, so we can go on a press tour and say and like prop up our person. It's like, wow, this person, he works so hard and never worked with someone that works so hard before and does all their own stunts and are so amazing. And that like, drives people in, or they maybe think, to the
Yep.
theaters to
Yep.
see their
It,
action
it
hero.
it's a pissing contest. It's who has
Hmm.
the biggest phallus, right? And
Hmm.
I think he goes back to Jackie Chan doing his stunts, and then
Hmm.
showing at his credits, he's like, "I'm doing my own stunts. I wanted to show you how damn dangerous it is, right?
Yeah.
And stunt people need
Yeah.
to get their due, and also to show that we. But the consequence of that is also demonstrating, look at how amazing I am. Like I failed several times, but I got this right. And now how do we
Yep.
push that? And then the one that came to mind is Vigo Mortensen doing all of his stunts and almost drowning and breaking his foot. And then he's like, I really want to knock arrow out of the air with my sword. I'm like, are you high? Like, don't shoot an arrow at me, or did he throw a knife or something? Like, I don't have batting practice with weaponry. Forget it. But then he had Tom Cruise is pushing the envelope, and then if Tom Cruise is doing this, and I think it's pun intended, born out of necessity. Who's going to go see a movie where the main actor isn't doing his own stunts and isn't
Right.
pushing the envelope? We've seen this before, and it wasn't as cool. So it's got to get cool. It's got to get more. It's got to get bigger. Otherwise, it's going to be like three dudes doing a podcast going, this one was okay, but something's missing. Like, no, man, like it's freaking cool. And if we hadn't seen the other movie, we would all be geeking out about how amazing John Wick is.
Well,
But
I don't
we
think John
be
Wick
Yes.
4 is amazing because he's doing the stunts. I mean, very rarely do I watch a movie and actually do I notice the stunt man switch or transition. Usually the editing is good enough. And if I
Yep.
do notice it, I realize what kind of B list or worst movie I'm watching. I don't mind. Tom Cruise doing that doesn't make me want to watch Mission Impossible more. Makes me like Tom Cruise more, but that doesn't
but doesn't
mean
that
I
make
want
you
to
want to
watch
watch
his movies.
his movies more?
It's
No,
it's
I
the
hate
wrong
actors.
franchise because
Yes.
if in Maverick, weren't you jumping out of your chair going, "Is Tom Cruise really flying an F-14? Holy crap! And is he really flying it in the mountains like that? Like it? Ah, that made it
Afterwards,
hyper
yes.
realistic."
Yep. I
Afterwards, yes.
agree.
In the moment, I'm not. I don't know because I feel like if you're that concerned with it, like then how do you watch a Tom Cruise movie that isn't Top Gun or isn't Mission Impossible, and it's still Tom Cruise? Like you have to accept that it's a character in the movie, right? Or don't
Yeah.
you eliminate your suspension of disbelief for a little bit?
We used to have a time where people would go to movies for an actor. Like, I remember,
Right.
almost a decade ago at this point now, they were saying the last actor to be able to do that, to pull in audiences, was Will Smith. Well, that's done now too. Like, so the idea of like studios standing by an actor, they have an actor and they're always making movies with them, and then people are going because they think the quality of this movie that this person chose, and they're a fan of that person, they're an aspirational figure to them. because we don't know everything about their life and they don't come out and spout off all kinds of things or whatever. So we like can hold them in a glamorous light. All that's gone, but we get a little bit of it back when we know going into something that this person is risking something, is doing the thing themselves, as opposed to always just playing pretend and leaving the dangerous cool bits to someone else. And so for me, it definitely I've been like internally wanting to like John Wick 4 more because I think Keanu Reeves is so freaking cool. Such a nice seeming guy. He's put in so much effort. He does doing all his own stunts. I just love the process of this movie and everything, but it just doesn't change what the movie is. So, and Pete, I do agree kind of that if this was the first John Wick movie we saw, we'd all be raving about it in a way. I agree to that a part because that's setting a different standard for what the John Wick movies will be than what John Wick 1 did. John Wick 1 set what John Wick is and what it means to be a John Wick movie. And then it changed and became more superhuman dramatically over time. Whereas if they're going to set up, I'd be like, okay, here's another Hollywood movie with an indestructible superhero person that's actually just a normal guy. That's annoying, but wow, look at these cool stunts.
I I think I'm somewhere in between both of you, or I'm very far out on the one side of it. I just because I enjoyed the movie, but I'm not going to see this one again. I don't care to see this one again. If this was the first John Wick movie, I would never care to watch another John Wick movie. I wouldn't go out of my way to do it, but I went out of my way to watch this um, because I wanted it to still be John Wick because of what the first one did, because it was something different. Without it being having its unique quality, it's nothing special enough. Like, I don't know. I'm probably not gonna go out of my way to see Mission Impossible. Wait for it to come out on streaming or something along those lines because it's the 14th freaking one, and it's
No,
an error.
Mission Impossible has earned your view, I think. I mean, again, with the death defying stunt alone, you got to see it. The last one I think was probably the best Mission Impossible out of all of them, and it was the latest one, like the sixth or seventh one, whatever it is. It's like, and to be going out on that, that's why I went into John Wick 4 so excited because they're like, the fourth one is the best one. Like, oh my God, really? The fourth one's the best one? I'm so excited.
You two guys are going to be awake some night, and if you have a streaming service and it's just happens to be on, you're going to watch it, and you're going to remember, like, mark this moment on the podcast. You have my number. You can text me at any time, and you'll say, "Yeah, I'm watching John Wick," and it's okay.
Yeah.
I'll throw it in your face. Or you could be stubborn bitches, and you can be like, "Well, Pete said I was going to watch this again, and out of spite, I will not enjoy my night by watching John Wick 4 again."
Pete, you're handsome. You're charismatic. Okay, you're not going to win me over on this. There is one John Wick that I have watched 5 individual times. That's John Wick 1. I've watched the other 2 once. That's just how it's that they didn't bring anything super special to the table. Cool things, but not worth rewatching again.
If
And
I get COVID and I am quarantined and I'm flipping channels and they start with John Wick 1 and they say, we're going to go all the way through John Wick, I'm going to have my meals delivered, right? And I'm going to say, keep it down. I'm going to try to stay awake because I'm watching all 4 of these movies back to back.
what I would like is a supercut of the awesome moments because again, 4 has some great moments and the other movies do too. And so it's kind of like going and watching going on YouTube and I'm going to watch a fight scene. I'm going to watch some stunt or someone doing some sequence of parkour. I'm not watching the in between, whatever the connecting dots are. I'm watching that moment. I would totally rewatch the top down video game going through the house scene from
The
John Wick
Dragon's
4. I would
Breath. Yes.
And
yeah,
the Dragon's
I would
Breath, yes!
Yeah. That's
I would
awesome.
totally watch those moments again, but I'm not going to sit down and watch the whole movie. And again, I think that if I did a thing where people were over And that's how I see myself doing it. People were over, we're having snacks, we're talking, we're visiting, whatever. We put on John Wick 4 and we kind of hush down and quiet when the awesome moments come. That's the only way I can see myself watching John Wick 4 again. I said this before, earlier I was talking to Ashley. I was like, there's a reason I keep rewatching the James Bond movies. Like there's like 26 of them, and I keep rewatching almost all of them. Almost all of them. And that's interesting when like the stunts are done by different people a lot of times. They're not as impressive in a number of ways, but there is something aspirational and like the more fulfilling about those packages than what we've got in for sure John Wick 3.
Fuck you guys. I'm going to the midnight show. I can't stop thinking about this movie.
What? Hey, I like it. All these people are done. Yeah.
And I'm going to buy 3 tickets.
Okay. Yep.
And like, this one's for John, and this one's for Mike.
Perfect. Now you can bring a cardboard cutout of me. Put a big smile on my face.
I can be stubborn as well.
Hey, like I said, I'm not going to turn the channel if it comes on. I'm just not going to go out. I'm not going to go out of my way for it. It is not. If they're not bad movies,
no, absolutely
anymore.
Yeah,
that's all it is. They're not bad. It's not special. The first one was special.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that we have some differing views on this. Andrew and I started this podcast because we had a discussion in a brewery and pretty strongly disagreed on Captain America or Iron Man and their stances and the type of character they were in the MCU at the point at which we were at the time. I don't know what it was, Civil War or something, I suppose, or just shortly thereafter. And it's like, oh, that's, it'd be interesting to have a podcast together because we disagree on something like this and it gives good conversation. But then as it turns out, we agree on a lot. So, but anyways, so it's good to have you both on here. It's good to have some disagreement about it. I was happy to see the movie, and it'll be interesting to see where
when 5 comes out
goes next.
I'll see you there.
Well, that's the thing. So the studio is they want more.
Yeah,
the studio wants more. So usually that's not a good call when the people say we're done. Like we're kind of out of ideas or like whatever, and the studio says no, give us more. That's usually not what gives you a good product coming out of it, I think. But
it can be the Donnie Yen show with Akira, right? And then the John Wick cameo, right? That'll be fine.
Yep. Yeah. Well, so apparently they're doing a spinoff that takes place between 3 and 4 that stars Ana de Armas. So Ana de Armas, super bombshell. She was cool in the Bond movie. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that, for sure. And yeah, Wick will have a cameo in that. So it was interesting in this one that they kind of decide to set up.
That's right. It's the ballerina. Yeah. Which isn't that allegedly John Wick's daughter?
Oh, what? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, Google.
We'll leave it on a cliffhanger. Yeah.
Oh, real quick. One last hot take. Go see the Dungeons and Dragons movie. That was actually really entertaining.
Yes.
Really entertaining. Loved it.
Cool. That's awesome. And you're a person that's played D&D, so you're familiar.
I played D&D as a kid. My youngest, I tried to play Dungeons and Dragons with my 3 kids. My youngest is good at it. Into role playing, outside the box, problem solving. What? You are in it to win it. This is fantastic. So cool. I think I will take her to see that because the oldest 2 wanted to go see Scream 6.
I heard that. Well, you told me that was really good.
No, somebody cool told you that. Oh yeah, it was me.
Nice. All right. Pete, what would you like to promote? I think you probably have something to promote, huh?
Oh, what's on the bookshelf here? Hey, here's a notebook, if you're in a book club and you want to read it, this is on hard paperback now. It's called Zombies at the Gates and Other
What?
Tales. It's a collection of
I didn't
short
know it was
stories.
printed.
We got sci-fi, fantasy, horror here. Fun for the kids if they're
Awesome.
into horror. So yeah,
Yeah.
check it out by Peter
Yeah, Alan
Yelverton.
says he wants a signed copy.
I can arrange that. I have connections.
Awesome.
You know, a cool
Yeah,
guy.
so all your other books are available on Amazon yet digitally. I've read all of them. They're all good. I see the
And
Vampire Autopsy one
spoiler
back there. I
alert.
think it's my favorite.
Yeah, Vampire Autopsy over there. Spoiler alert, we're going to try to have another book out for Halloween. Another collection of short
Awesome.
stories.
Awesome.
Just trying to figure out which ones to include. Right now we're narrowing it down, trying to make it more cohesive rather than scattershot. So, dramatic.
Cool. Awesome.
Stay tuned.
Very good. Mike, I know you have a YouTube channel. You want to plug that?
I do. If you like watching cars go around a track and you like watching a guy try and do that from inside the car, I've got a YouTube channel that is all about me going out to different track days, track events, and competitions. It's
Fantastic.
_mouse. Thank you. And this year I am competing with Grid Life for anybody that knows about that program in their time attack. So we're going to Michigan, Ohio, Chicago, and then out to Monterey Bay, California for events throughout the year.
Awesome.
Jeez. Do you have like
Very cool.
tour shirts that we can like? Where's your merch? You need a guy for that?
I do need a guy for that. I draw pictures. So on my Instagram, which is at TrackMouse as well, I've got some. I like to draw cartoon cars. So all of my buddies' cars that we go to the track with, I like to draw that. So merch. If you got a merch guy, or if you're my cool merch guy, I'll hit you up. Yeah, that'd be cool to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. I'd like to go around in the track sometimes, see how it goes, because I feel like I'd have no bearing on like how fast I can take a corner or anything. I'm just not,
Sure.
I get it. Like when you can feel a car, or you can feel a thing or whatever, I imagine it's got to be like a different level for you. And so it'd be interesting to see in person.
It's a blast. We do a bunch of local events. If you ever want to come down to, well, it's not local for you, but if you ever wanted to come down
Right.
to the Rosemount area.
Do they ever have like an open, like during the races, an open hour where
Parade laps. There you go.
lame claim to fame. My wife's friend is a race car driver, and she and her husband were at BIR, and so we had the opportunity to drive around the BIR race course, and so my wife got to drive her friend's race car the track. But of course, you're all, like you said, in a parade, so it's not like you're opening it up and taking it at high turn.
Sure.
You can only go as fast as the front of you. So, and I took our minivan right behind her.
Yes.
So I could say I drove on it too. They only had one race car at the time. And I'm like, Steph, your friend, go get some. And she was shaking. She had such a good time. So if you have the opportunity, Johnny, Mike's your guy. Check it out. You will not regret it.
Come up to Brainerd.
Nice.
Go up there twice a year.
Yep. BR, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Nice. Very cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys both jumping on for this. Make our John Wick special spoiler cast.
It's like the Moon Knight special presentation. It's a special presentation.
That's right.
It was a good podcast. I'm confident of that. It would have been better with Andrea. We all know.
Of course.
Next time.
We wish Andrea well. Hope she's back on the show soon, and hopefully we can have you guys back soon as well. And we'll get all our tech issues like ironed out. It's always something,
What?
Yeah.
What tech issues? Flawless podcast.
Get a drink.
A+.
Yeah. Well, that's been this week's podcast on the rocks. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all those sorts of places. Like, share, subscribe wherever you can. Podcast services of your choice. The video's available on Spotify as well if you listen there. Killing the Flower, they wrote our theme song. You should give them a look. They're on music streaming services and YouTube as well. MJ Honeybee, she is a Twitch streamer and a friend. I play with her sometimes, playing Dead by Daylight on Twitch. So go ahead and check her out. And I'll probably be back this next week, fill in with a few supplemental things talking about anime or comic books. So that's it from us. Mike, Pete, thanks for joining me, and we'll see
Thank you,
everybody next
John.
time.
Cheers.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks, Alan.